Thanks. Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the June 27th River Falls City Council meeting. First thing we do is stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Christie, can we have a roll call, please?
Bierstead,
Here.
Bjork,
Here.
Carroll, Downing,
Here.
Morset,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Odine.
Here.
Okay, next we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the June 13th meeting. So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? We need a roll call. Christie.
Bjork,
Yes.
Odine,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Morset,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Bierstead.
Yes.
Next move on to approval of the bills with Mr. Morrissette.
Mayor and council, I move approval of the bills in the amount of $684,721.82, subject to the comptroller's review.
Second.
Questions, comments? Christie?
Odine, Downing,
Yes.
Morset,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Bierstead,
Yes.
Bjork.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next move on to public comments. If there's anybody in the audience has anything they'd like to share with us, there's a lot of people here for public comments tonight, so keep all the comments for 2 minutes or less. And if the person in front of you that stood up is basically saying the same thing you're gonna say, we're happy that you're here to show support, but unless you have something new to add to it, we don't need to keep hearing the same stuff over and over. So, whoever wants to come up first, anybody wants to come up first, come on up. Yeah.
Agenda, we still say it now?
Yeah, because it's not, unless it's for, the only public hearing we have is a liquor license, so if it's not that, then now would be the time to say it. Yep.
Anyway. My name is Cheryl Ross. My address is N8681. My name is Cheryl Ross. N8681 1020th Street, River Falls. So, y'all have a letter from me that I wrote concerning 879. And the residents, many of the residents are behind me, and not in opposition to the Oak Hill development, but have concerns about extending Compton onto 879th or extending 879th into Compton. It is only 20 foot wide. It is not ready to take traffic that could, I know in a response I got from Amy, I'm sorry, 2 minutes. Response I got from Amy, she said maybe a third of the traffic will come through there. Other 2/3 will go to Maple. I don't know how that really was figured. Right now they have a way of getting out. They will have a way going to Maple or to Apollo to Maple. Locust Street is already scheduled to be a thoroughfare or to be a street that goes through. That'll be 2 ways in, 2 ways out. So there really isn't any issue that I can see or that the people behind me can see that would make it a danger not having this. We're not necessarily opposed to perhaps a naturally landscaped fire lane with a gate for emergency purposes. But it is it's a widely used recreational area. There are so many. This morning on my way to work, there were moms and probably about 8 toddlers sitting there, walking right on the corner, and it's bicycles, it's walking your dog, it's walking, and it's not only the township people, it is the city of River Falls. It is one of the nicest streets in the west side. There's really nothing in Quail Ridge that compares to it. Am I done? Oh, I thought
Well,
maybe that was my
I mean,
timer.
if nobody else is getting up to talk about it, you can talk a little bit longer if you want.
Anyway, what?
Yeah.
Yes, times
Nope.
two.
Nope.
So, anyway, and the park entrance is right there, which I'm really very concerned about the safety of the children and everyone. It's just a matter of time before there is some kind of a accident with cars going through. I did have another point I was going to make. But anyway, when I drive on that road, which is every day, if I meet the school bus or if I meet a larger truck, I have to stop and let that vehicle go by. It's not like I could squeeze past there. I don't want to get the school bus driver a heart attack, and I don't want anybody going off the road. So it is just not the right road to have extensions onto it. So anybody else, am I missing anything? Okay.
Hi, my name's Carl Corey. I'm on 1020th Street as well. I'm sure you all saw the engineering report from the River Falls Township that was commissioned by the township by independent road engineers, traffic engineers, that showed the actual increase on that. You've all seen that, right? That showed what that increase would be. Okay, so you know what that engineering firm said was that it would at least triple, probably quadruple the traffic on 879th Street. They said 900 to 1,500 additional trips a day. That's all I got to say.
Thanks.
Anything else in this, guys?
My name is Greg Jenny, and I live at 1674 Valley Quail. 879th Street abuts my backyard, so we sit out on our patio frequently and watch people walk their dogs, kids ride their bikes. It's a little bit of country in the city, and I don't think there's a lot of roads around here that are still in that natural state. That's really all I had to say, is that you should take a drive down that road. It's really nice, peaceful. It's a lane, trees, animals. I can see deer walk by on the road from my back deck. So those are my comments on that. Please
Thanks.
reconsider extending that road. Thank you.
Just thank you for your time
Thanks.
and for looking at all the materials and for listening. If there's any questions? Nope. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. My name is Joe Pavlicek, and I live on 1025th Street. Also own property on Emily Circle, which is part of the development above. And I guess my question is can we ask you questions, or we just
No,
we
just
can't
comments.
ask questions?
Yep.
Okay, so first time here, but there's a lot of development going on in River Falls. If you drive around the community, there are things going up all over the place. And I don't know if there's studies done to say that this is something that River Falls wants. I mean, you guys are voted in to your positions. Do your constituents, do they agree with this? That's what we're doing? There's an old movie out there that said, if you build it, they will come. Well, that's obvious, it's coming. But do the people that are here, do they want that? So I guess I would like to know if there's stuff that's going on where you are asking people, is this what you want? Is this what you want for your community and so forth? And I guess that's something that I don't know, and I don't know if you can clarify that for me at all, or tell me where to go and see if there are studies and so forth. I would appreciate that. The other thing is, and this other gentleman, he did mention it, and he talked about the increased traffic. And there's going to be a lot of traffic that's going to be added to that street. And my question to you, and you can, obviously you're not going to answer it, but you can think about this in your mind, and you can say, would I like 500 more vehicles a day going by my house?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I'll just give a genuine concern. Jacob Ross, 10 20th Street. I grew up on this road, and my concern more than anything would be the, the topography of the road going down 10 20th. It's a no outlet road. We can't widen it. We're valley either side. As a kid walking down that road, it's narrow enough. Two cars can't go by each other with a walker on that road. So it's a genuine concern that that's a no outlet, increased traffic, completely ruins the ability for someone to walk down there with that increased traffic. So the concern is the topography, increase the traffic, the roadways would be maintained by whoever or whatever. The added traffic would uh, add more danger to the public walking back there, and it is there's not much you can do with the topography of the valleys on either side of the road. So that's my biggest concern. Sorry for not explaining it properly. But
Oh, thanks. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Kim Pavlicek, and I live on 1025th Street. And I'm just wondering, first of all, I don't know who will be taking care of the township, of the road that is a township road. And does that become part of the city, or does that liability fall on the township still? And will it affect our taxes? And then there was also a mention of access to it just being one access, but there are plenty of neighborhoods in River Falls, such as Gulfview, that only has one access. And so if that is the driving force behind this, it isn't a very valid point in our eyes. So
Thanks.
thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Excuse me.
My name is Patricia LaRue, and I live at 49 Marcella Court. I hear and I appreciate what my neighbors are saying, and I'm not here to address the traffic, but to not build is to not grow. And to not grow creates a closed community, where a family's only into our community is when another family moves out. And when you look at these maps and you see these little squares, they represent a home, and they represent a family who has chosen us to come live here. And it does create more traffic. It creates an acceptance that we are a growing community. I don't think anyone here is thinking that you're basically saying, we don't want your child to play in our band. We don't want your dreams of starting up a new business. They're unwelcomed, and we want our tax base to stay as low as possible, but not want to expand our tax base. So part of the growing is part of accepting new people, new challenges. Truly, it sounds like there has to be some kind of a traffic study done so that people can safely move from one community or one neighborhood to another. But I do support our growth. There has been studies done, and we're trying to provide a wide variety of senior housing, as well as apartments, as well as family homes. And I think this new addition is going to come in 3 different phases, and we'll be able to watch ourselves grow a little slower. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Daryl Ross again. None of us are opposed to the new development. None of us. We realize it's a greater tax base for the city, and we realize it's homes that are needed. So none of us are opposed to that. And there will be adequate a way to get in there, and streets and accessibility. So the gal before me, none of us are opposed to any of that. And we're not trying to exclude anyone. We're just trying to keep people safe. So.
Anybody else have anything? Okay, we'll first thing we'll do now is we'll close the council hearing and open up a public hearing on annual liquor license and beer license renewals. This is a hearing and disposition. Is there anybody in the audience has anything like to say about this? Okay, we'll close the public hearing and we will, first I want to make sure the two people are here. We need Brandon and Brian. Are you both here?
Brand, that's
I'm sorry.
Brandon
Okay.
and Brian.
Oh, there
right
you are. Okay. Okay, so both businesses are here. Okay. So Brandon's for Quick Trip 453 and Brian is for the Moose Lodge.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we grant renewal of combination Class B liquor and Class B beer license contingent on all licensing requirements being met at the time of issuance. This would pertain to the Moose Lodge.
Mr. Mayor, believe you're still in the public
Oh,
hearing.
are we still in public hearing?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Sorry. So we'll close the public hearing and reopen the council hearing. Now I'll take a motion.
Ready?
Yep.
All right, let's try this again. I make a motion, we grant renewals for the combination Class B liquor and Class B beer license contingent on all licensing requirements being met at the time of issuance. And again, this is pertaining to the Moose Lodge.
Second. Questions, comments? Christie?
Miller,
Yes.
Bjork,
Yes.
Bierstead,
Yes.
Morset,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Odine.
Yes.
Okay, next, I'll take a motion for the grant renewals for the combination Class A liquor and Class A beer licenses.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we grant renewals for the combination Class A liquor and Class A beer licenses to Quick Trip Store, 453 North Main Street, contingent that all licensing requirements are met at the time of issuance.
Second. Questions or comments? Christie?
Morset,
Yes.
Bjork,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Odine,
Yes.
Bierstead,
Yes.
Downing.
Yes.
Okay, next move on to ordinance 2023-10, amending Title 17 zoning, Chapter 17.44, 17.68, 17.84, and 17.116 related to electronic reader board signs. Emily's going to give us, where's Emily? Emily, our city planner, is going to give us a little presentation here. And then if council's got any questions about it.
Just looking to our IT person to make sure that we get the slides.
Mr. Mayor, do you want the presentation as part of the public hearing, or would you
No,
like?
she can say it first and then we'll go into a public hearing. That way they can, if there's anybody has any information.
Well.
There we go. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Emily Shively. I'm the Assistant Director of Community Development. This item is a proposed amendment to the sign code portion of the zoning ordinance related to electronic signs. So this amendment originated as a response to requests from 3 areas: existing businesses who are allowed to have electronic signs but want to utilize more of the technology available, non-residential uses in residential districts such as churches wanting to have electronic signs, and this is currently not allowed, and a request from the owner of the billboards on Highway 35 near Whitetail Ridge Corporate Park to convert the billboards to digital signs. When considering a change to the ordinance, it's beneficial to be reminded of the purpose and goals of the regulations. Here's the purpose statement from the sign code. Essentially, the regulations are intended to ensure public safety and also to recognize that character and aesthetics matter. In April, Mark Roffers of MD Roffers Consulting facilitated a conversation with Plan Commission about potential changes to the sign code in response to the requests that had been received. The Commission considered whether to keep the current regulations as they are with no changes, make changes but take a more limited approach, or to greatly expand what is allowed related to electronic signs. The outcome of the discussion was that generally, Plan Commission was open to modernizing the code to allow for the greater use of the technology, allowing electronic signs in more locations, and providing a pathway for the conversion of billboards to electronic signs. The Commission emphasized that the context of a sign is important and good design is also necessary. There was a general openness to changing the code provided appropriate performance standards are set. The proposed ordinance amendment is intended to accomplish that direction. The amendment allows digital billboards via special use permit in industrial districts, updates definitions in the sign code, and rewrites the performance standards for electronic signs. Many of the existing regulations are carried forward. However, the amendment expands the locations where electronic signs are allowed, allows full color, but only as static message display, sets different standards for electronic signs outside of business districts, specifies that electronic signs may only be part of a monument sign and not wall-mounted, modifies the display duration to allow for greater turnover of messages, ensures that signs adjust brightness based on ambient light conditions, and sets specific standards for digital billboards. So Plan Commission reviewed the proposed ordinance at their meeting on June 6th and forwarded it to the council with a favorable recommendation. I'll now turn it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you. So we'll close the council hearing and open up a public hearing on this. Is there anybody in the audience has anything they'd like to say about the electronic reader boards? Come on up.
Good evening. My name is Dave Curtin, and I work for Lamar Advertising. We have the 2 billboard signs in town here. And I just had a few amendments I'd like you to consider from this ordinance. There's 4 of them here that we'd like to have amended the way they're written. And I guess we can start in section 6. And it goes to eliminating, it allows for only 1 electronic sign per lot. We do like to allow back-to-back configurations. Where there'd be 1 sign at some point, there could be a back-to-back. Even though it's still 1 sign, we'd be able to do both sides. So we'd like that amendment in there, if that's possible to consider. In the 8th section of this ordinance, it talks about the monument signs and how they go about, but I guess I find it somewhat unclear whether it's on or off premise. In talking to the planners, I guess it's not off premise, but I guess we'd like to have that in there that it's not off premise that we're referring to. Sections 9 through 12 deal with the manner in which the messages are displayed. And our industry standard, it's not in there, but we'd like it to be in there to allow 6-second run times on the messages. That's it's across the board the same in all of our markets that way. It's not in there. And then the final section, 16, this is number 4 of the possible amendments here, is in 16, in order to construct a new or convert an existing billboard to digital, 2 square feet of an existing static sign must be removed for every 1 square foot of new digital signage. That's a non-starter for us. We have 2 signs in the city total. So we would want that stricken out of there, being that we only have 2 signs. So we wouldn't be interested in taking 1 down to modernize another. And that's all I had on it. Do you have any questions for me? Or?
Nope.
Okay.
Have you communicated this with staff already?
Yeah.
I was told to bring it to the.
And he was at planning commission.
I was at the planning commission.
I
Okay.
think they've looked at it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Yep, thank you.
Is there anybody else in the audience? Okay, I will close the council here, or I'll close the public hearing and reopen the council hearing. And does the council have any questions on this?
There was a note about signs need to be at least a mile apart.
The billboards.
The billboards.
Yeah, just billboards.
Okay, so I guess I just want, if Ezekiel wants to put up a board, they're not going to be conflicting with the St. Bees, then they could do it then?
No, it's just for billboards.
Just for
along the highway.
billboards?
Yep.
Okay.
I believe I'm right. I don't want to talk out of turn, Emily.
Emily, do you want to speak to the difference between on-premise and off-premise?
Oh.
So that what people think of as billboards versus signs on their business?
Yeah, so on-premise means that you're advertising or providing information about the business that the sign is associated with on the site. So billboards aren't associated with any business on that site. They're advertising other businesses. So they're advertising or providing information for businesses that are not on those premise, so off premise. So billboards always fall into that off premise category. So the distance requirement of a mile only relates to digital billboards. So if you've got one that's already in place and someone else wants to come in, first of all, they need to find a location that's zoned industrial. And then that needs to be measured as the crow flies from a mile from another one. So currently in the city, we have areas that are zoned industrial up near Radio Road and Highway 35. That is roughly a mile from the existing billboards near Whitetail Ridge. And then another area further miles south near Highway 65 and Highway 35 is another area zoned industrial where there could be another billboard located. So the industrial districts are already spaced out, you know, about a mile that way.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. Move on to the consent agenda. Acknowledgement of the following minutes: the library board from 5/1, utility advisory board from 5/15, the West Central Wisconsin Biosolids Facility Commission from 5/18, the Park and Recreation Advisory Board from 5/10, the River Falls Housing Authority from 5/22, the bid board from 3/10, and the planning commission from 5/2. Next is a resolution approving the specific implementation plan and final plat for South Point First Edition. Next one is a resolution approving the final plat for Oak Hill. Next one is a resolution amending fee schedule for streetlight special charge. Next one is a resolution extending audit contract through the 2024 audit with Baker Tilly US LLP. Next one is a resolution awarding the 2023 and 2024 manhole rehabilitation project, which would go to HydroClean LLC. Next one is a resolution approving the 2022 compliance maintenance annual report, which goes to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. And the next one is a resolution designating the existing business improvement district board and the city finance director as members of the ad hoc city River Falls Downtown Reinvestment Committee. Hang on. That's it. Does anybody want to pull anything?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull number 7.
7. Anything else?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of consent agenda items 4A through G, 5, 6, and 8 through 11.
Second. Questions, comments on the rest? No? Christie?
Bjork,
Yes.
Bierstead,
Yes.
Morissette,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Odine.
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Downing, you pulled number 7.
Resolution amending fee schedule for streetlight special charge. Mr. Mayor, I'm in favor of this. I want to speak briefly to it. I'll start by thanking our planning staff and everyone who worked on this. There was a lot of work and planning put into this over a long period of time. This streetlight utility saves money that adds up. This is part of keeping life affordable for our community. Currently, the average homeowner pays $39 per year for streetlights. With changing to this form of streetlight utility, the average homeowner will pay $24 per year. That's a saving of $15 in cost reduction for them because the streetlights cost can be responsibly distributed in the sense of doing a streetlight utility. With that, Mr. Mayor, I move approval for number 7.
Second.
I was,
Other questions?
I was
Yep.
pulling number 7 as well.
Yep.
I agree with Mr. Downing on this, but I don't think the breakdown that we have is correct on that. I think the single residence and the multi-residence, yep, they're one unit, but I really think the commercial and the industrial are getting off light on this, and I think it should be increased. And I did a quick math on this, and I can still come out to the 234 that we need on this, but I think it should be $1.50 per unit, not $2 per unit. And I think commercial and industrial should be 12 units and 18 units, and park and school should go to 20 units each. And when you do the math on this, it still ends up to 234. But I think commercial and industrial are getting by too light on what service they get on this. So I don't think the 8 units and the 9 units that they are being commissioned or exposed to on this is right. I think they should pay for more of a burden than that. So I would like to make an amendment to the dollars that we have on there and reconfigure it to what I have. But I know nobody's seen this, so nobody's going to be able to second it at this point. But again, I don't think it's right to the residents, and whether they're in a single family or multifamily situation. I think there's too much of a burden to there, and I think the commercial and industrial are getting by light.
And this is something we're going to review every year or every couple of years, I believe.
Would be on the fee schedule, wouldn't it?
Should be.
Yeah, so the council's gonna see this every year. I'd suggest though, if the council has concerns about the distribution of the REUs or the equivalents or the distribution between residential and commercial, industrial schools, et cetera, that you not proceed. So, you know, the council has wide liability or wide ability to modify this. So Councilmember Bjork, you could simply amend the REUs that are shown in the resolution. I would put caution that, you know, under state statutes, we have to reasonably relate the charges of our services to the benefacting party. And so staff has provided you an estimate based on a number of assumptions that results in this. I'd suggest, if you think it doesn't look correct from a policy standpoint, meaning you think that the residential units seem to be getting too much of the burden, that you would send it back to us for further review rather than simply modify it. Although I would suggest you have the ability, if you can get a second on an amendment, to modify it. But that would put staff in the position where we have to go back and reverse analysis to make sure that that's justified and that we don't have to come back to you and say, oops, you can't do that because it doesn't match the fees. So there is no perfect fee structure, so I wouldn't argue that any modifications to this would negate the analysis. I would just suggest if this is not acceptable recovery system and fee system, that you would send the whole thing back rather than make modifications, which, as I've said now 4 times, I guess, you can do if you want. Just don't. That would be my recommendation. Either accept it with the analysis or suggest that our analysis needs to be revisited based on information you just provided us.
And I do apologize to my fellow council members on that. I was just doing the math on this and taking and asking questions, and I'll go back to the commercial, knowing that a commercial is more than just the street light that's in front. They also have the street lights are in the alley. They have multiple street lights to the front. So to think that there are only 4 units versus 1 unit to a single resident is incorrect. And so I know you guys haven't seen this. It's going to be hard for anybody to second this with me not having something in writing, but I guess I would propose to do as Mr. Simpson said, and is to pull this then and let the reevaluation happen, and for us to maybe look at this and reshare it again at next council. So if somebody wants to second that, they could. And I can hear this is going nowhere, because we have the policy here where if staff recommends it, then that becomes gospel. So.
Well, that's, yeah.
I would disagree with that, but we have extensively talked about the streetlight special charge. It is an increase in charges to businesses and industries. They're already going to see an increase in what they're charged. So personally, I think it's something that if it's not fair, we can tweak it in the future as part of the fee schedule.
I guess I tend to agree. We've seen this at a couple different workshops and budget workshops and a specific streetlight workshop. So I guess our chance to amend it or change it was at that time. And I think staff took the direction that we gave them to move forward with what came out of those workshops and budgetary things, and that's what's been presented.
So there's been no second for Mr. Bjork's comment. So any other comments?
I think the point that we have to value is that we can relook at this every year and make sure we're being fair to everybody. And I appreciate what you had to say, Jeff. So,
Okay, so we still have first and a second on it. Any other questions or comments on number number 7, the fee schedule? Christie?
Bierstead,
Yes.
Downing,
yes.
Bjork,
Yes.
Odine,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Morissette.
Yes.
Okay, move on to comptroller's report.
The Comptroller's report for May 2023. General revenues through the end of May were $5,238,068, or 40.1% of total budgeted revenues for the year. Revenues in May included $235,047 for River Falls Rural Fire Association payment, $18,200 for liquor and malt beverage licenses, $16,813 in building permits, and $14,450 in plat review fees. Expenditures through the end of May were $4,674,600, or 36.5% of total budgeted expenditures for the year. So as of May 31st, 2023, net revenues over expenditures were $563,468.
Thank you, Diane. Next, we have one announcement. It's Park and Rec proclamation.
Mr. Mayor, I have the privilege of reading the proclamation you are issuing for the Park and Rec Board. Designation of July as Park and Recreation Month and designation of July 21st as Park and Recreation Professionals Day. Whereas Park and Recreation is an integral part of our communities throughout this country, including River Falls, Wisconsin. And whereas Parks and Recreation promotes time spent in nature, which positively impacts mental and physical health by increasing cognitive performance and well-being, providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas Park and Recreation programming and educational activities such as out-of-school time programming, youth, adult, sports, and environmental camps and clinics are critical to childhood development. And whereas Park and Recreation provides services that enrich the lives of its citizens and help make this community a desirable place to live, work, and visit. And whereas Parks and Recreation increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, and the attraction and retention of business and crime reduction. And whereas the City of River Falls Common Council and Park and Recreation Advisory Board, which I'm part of, recognizes the Parks and Recreation field as a diverse and comprehensive system that improves personal, social, environmental, and economic health. And whereas the City of River Falls supports the skilled work of park and recreation professionals to strengthen the community's cohesive and resilient, connects people with nature and each other, and provides and promotes opportunities for healthy living, social equity, and environmental sustainability. And whereas the City of River Falls values the essential services the park and recreation professionals and volunteers perform to provide recreational and developmental enrichment for our children, youth, adults, and other adults, and to assure our parks and recreation spaces are clean, safe, inclusive, welcoming, and ready for use. Now, therefore, Dan Tolan, Mayor of the City of River Falls, does hereby proclaim the month of July is recognized as the Park and Recreation Month, and July 21st, 2023 as Park and Recreation Professionals Day, given under his hand and sealed the City of River Falls this 27th day of June 2023.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to recess into closed session per Wisconsin State Statute 19.851E for the following purposes: deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. To wit, University of Wisconsin River Falls Science Technology Partnership and Sterling Farms Corporate Park, St. Croix County parcels 276-1150-09-120 and 276-1150-09-111. I'll take a motion.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion, we move into closed session.
Second. Christie?
Bjork,
Yes.
Odine,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Morissette,
Yes.
Downing,
Yes.
Bierstead.
Yes. Okay, we're moving to closed session. Thanks for coming.